is William. He will introduce himself. Welcome, William.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
So sorry we're starting a few minutes late. I was told there were going to be 5 of you, not like 500 of you, but that's okay. I get nervous in crowds of 10 or more, so it's difficult. And I also talk fast. My English is not good, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, but we're going to try. For those of you who don't know, my name is Hurley. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Chaotic Moon in Austin, which is not in Texas. It's just surrounded by it, which is unfortunate geography. But I'm here on what's called the International Genius Grant from the Amsterdam Foundation in the city of Amsterdam. So I want to set some expectations about the presentation. It's called the International Genius Grant. It's not an award. It's not a title. I'm not a genius. So it's just what the grant happens to be called, and that brought me over to the country to go touring around and visiting startups and communities and colleges and so on and so forth. And in theory, I'm supposed to talk about things like being innovative and makerware and the maker movement and stuff like that. And I'm not Brie. I didn't build the MakerBot, and I own one. I own a bunch of 3D printing things. The innovation part, I'll say I'm pretty good at. It's arguable. There are people who tell you I'm not good at that at all. That's fair. I don't think they're any good at it either. But with that, I do presentations in a couple different formats everywhere I go. One of them, I just take questions from the audience, and I put them in. I make the slideshow as we go when I go. In the other one, I just take questions from the audience. In the other one, I just ramble at the audience forever. So I've been told because of time constraints, and I'm literally walking stage to stage, that I shouldn't do the first one. But we are going to do one of the second ones. But I thought I'd also kind of talk before we do, and before I let all of you ask any question you want, everything's open, about innovation and how we're doing the things we're doing at Chaotic Moon. Because they're seen as very innovative, but we don't think they are. And that's because the expectations for innovation are very low globally. Doing anything new is almost revolutionary these days, right? And there's groups of people who will think it's incredible. And the problem with this is innovation starts with imagination. And in a lot of countries, especially in the US, where I come from, we've bred that out of people. We've also bred into people an inability and an intolerance of risk. So people aren't afraid to take risk. And they're very afraid to fail, even though they shouldn't be. I'm sure all of you have heard, fail fast, right? You should try to do as many things. Do you want to have a successful career? Do as many things as you can, as fast as possible, until you find the right one that you're just disposed to doing better than anybody else. You have the best job ever. So for me, it's coming up with insane, crazy ideas and then building them or convincing other people to join me and build them. So I'm going to show something as an example of innovation. It's a couple-minute video from the Gadget Show in the UK that covered a thing that we made. So in January, when we started labs, we made a skateboard. It goes 35 miles an hour, and it's controlled by a Kinect. And the Microsoft said the Kinect can't be used outside because of the ambient light, and you can't have the background moving, because for those of you who don't know, the way a Kinect works is it blasts a bunch of infrared dots on you, and it blasts them on the background, and when your dots are moving, it knows humans have heads at the top, and it can basically guess where a skeleton is, and there you go. I've got a camera and IR, and I can do the differential, and I can say, oh, this is a person. Everything else is not moving. And you have to use a Kinect from about me to this gentleman in front of me, because you can't really use it very up close. Now, they've recently come out since then with the Kinect for Windows, which you can use much closer. Obviously, it's made for using on a desktop computer, which apparently people still use, which is weird. I didn't think there was a market for that. How many of you have desktop computers? Just said 3, 2. That's about what I thought when I talked to Microsoft about that project. But you guys might not know this, but I don't think people sit at computers anymore. And we jokingly call them stationary computing. But, that was lost on everybody but NPR. But the thing is with the Kinect is when we took something that everybody was told could not be used for something and made it from an engineering perspective work. So you put it on the skateboard, you use the body motions to control it, It's, you know, you can go fast, you can stop fast, you can do all these different motions. We were at CES, no booth, no nothing, and we just drug it around the Consumer Electronics Show, and everybody came, every reporter, oh my God, it's so innovative. Wired from the UK was like, it's the most innovative thing we've seen at CES. And I believe my quote in the article is, then everyone here should be shocked. Because that's sad. Because it's a skateboard with a Kinect on it. Like, we thought it was neat. I mean, we liked it. We thought it was neat, but we didn't think it was, you know, super innovative. But this is kind of a baseline for our conversation today, which is, if you do something out of the norm or unusual with something that people have it in their mind can't be used for some specific purpose or can only be used for a specific purpose, that's seen as innovative. Maybe it is. But a lot of people confuse innovation and invention. And those are very different things. And so I want to make sure also that we level set and know that I won't be talking about invention. Invention's wonderful. It's hard. It takes years. You make new chemicals. You discover new things. That's a very, very complicated process. That's not what innovation is. And most entrepreneurs and most students that I talk to, most everyone I talk to, they confuse invention and innovation. They don't understand that they're making something that's fairly easy to do very, very complex and putting it outside of their reach. For one, they want to have control of everything they use. So they can't take a Kinect and a skateboard. They have to design their own skateboard, and then they want to design their own optic system that will do the same thing. That's inventing things. Innovation is when you take all of the things in the world around you, and you put together in a new and interesting way something that has value to somebody else. For example, when the iPhone was released, Apple didn't invent capacitive touch displays. They didn't invent the processor. They didn't make the processor that small, right? They didn't invent many of the technology that we use, but they put all of those together in a very new and innovative way, and that was very disruptive to the market. So with that, I'm going to show this little video about the follow-on to the Board of Awesomeness, which is the Kinect Control one, because what happens when you do something innovative? Half the reporters are like, this is amazing. The other half of the reporters are like, well, what else can you do? So, and they don't care. So we had to do something else, and this is what we came up with.
Polly had clearly been blown away by Metropolis 2, but back at Venice Beach, I was about to try the most exciting bit of technology of our world tour so far. A mind-controlled skateboard.
Whurley, how you doing, man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm very excited.
Are
What
you
was
ready
that?
for
Was that a
this?
little thing with the...
That was a little thing. That's a secret mind control handshake. So are you ready to try this?
Are you kidding me? A mind-controlled skateboard? Yeah, I am.
That's right. So let me tell you a little bit about it. This board has a 800-watt motor. It's got 3 motorcycle batteries in it, basically, generating 36 volts. It's got a Samsung tablet here and this emotive headset. We're going to put this on your head, and we're going to try to train your brain and the board to connect. Once we do that, hopefully, when you think, kind of imagine where you want to go,
Yeah.
the board is going to take you off in that direction.
Okay, so when I'm imagining where I want to go, what's happening?
We're picking up the electrical patterns and basically the neurons as they're firing in there and converting that into commands for the board. So you want to do a little training?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let me get this on you.
Okay. Thanks, man.
So I'm getting a great signal.
Okay, you're getting a good signal.
I'm getting a good
signal
signal from your head. Actually, maybe a little too much signal.
Really?
Maybe you have too much brain power for the board to handle. It might not be able to
I love this.
There was one real-world problem, though. The headset had been designed specifically and exclusively for Whurley's brain.
Not
Before
true.
we start, I think it's only fair to tell you
That's
the
called
chances
TV
of
drama.
you getting this board to go anywhere are astronomical.
And as I began, Whurley's doubts seemed to be confirmed.
No, nothing.
AKA he was scared. So when you first do this, everybody that does it, they can't go because the fear center in their brain is like, this does not seem
nothing.
safe.
If you get distracted, if you look at a pretty girl, if you start thinking, oh, this is too fast, if you think, oh my
Was
God,
that a dog?
the golden
Yeah.
retrievers are notorious
too.
for distracting mind-controlled skateboards. It happens all the time.
But then, something happened.
There you go, you've almost got it. That's it, you were doing it.
Did you hear that?
Don't get distracted.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
But that was nothing compared to what I did next.
That's amazing. You think forward about launching yourself forward, and if you get it right, it starts to move. It's incredible. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. It's comic book craziness. Wow!
Okay, so that's We're going to stop. The video goes on and on with him going on and on about how crazy it is, and he's riding it. And then he rode it for like 4 hours, and we're like, we have got to catch a plane. Like, he's like, wait, we're going to do one more take. My girlfriend's coming over. I want her to see it. But that last 10 seconds of the video, that's innovation personified. That's the reaction you want when you have one of those ideas. But you also want something at the beginning that's very important to never lose sight of, and that is doubt and uncertainty and fear, or fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD, for those of you who are in the open source and other communities that use that term all the time. When we first showed up to meet Jason, there were, the TV show was going to be about 7 different gadgets that they had there at Venice Beach, and then the visit to Metropolis, and it was going to be about a minute apiece. And so we're sitting there, and they wanted to use the Connect board, and we're like, look, the software's good, but I mean, we're in Venice Beach. It's like very, very bright. I don't know that the infrared can even reach. It may not work. But we did make up something else for you. Mind control headset. Hint, anything you do right now for the next 6 months that you want to appear innovative, just add a mind control headset. That's all you have to do. Because people are like, that cannot possibly work. And which is what Jason said. So they weren't going to let us on the show with it. He goes, where's the Xbox remote, man? Don't stop teasing me. Where's it at? Come on, how's it really work? And we're like, no, seriously, you have to make it go. And he's like, oh, there's a switch or a button. And there's a big metal plate you might have noticed that he stepped on. And he's like, that makes it go. So I just lean forward, and then it goes faster. I'm like, no, that's called a dead man switch. That's because a board weighs 120 pounds. And if you fall off, we don't want it careening at 35 miles an hour through whatever's in front of it. So when your weight comes off of that, it kills everything. And so we had to show him that. And he was really doubtful. And that is the most valuable thing when you're trying to do something innovative or pitch something innovative, which is you want people to not believe it, and you want what in film industry is called a narrative arc. So it starts with, we have an idea, and then it goes to, you don't believe that mind control board works. Some of you saw the video and you still don't believe that mind control board works. And you kind of go through this path of taking the non-believer and making them a believer and making them see what's possible. And when you do, then you get a bunch of ridiculous requests. Like, can you mind control this? Or could you build that? Or, well, you built a mind control skateboard. Why can't you build a rocket? And it's like, well, rockets are really hard. I mean, we're happy to try, but like lots of stuff will blow up, you know, like they don't call them rocket scientists for nothing. Yeah, exactly. Brain surgery. That's my next endeavor. I'm going to do that on my 16-year-old son if he keeps up with the attitude. But no, the serious part of it is you want that doubt. And so where people have a trouble, you know, what I'd like to do with this particular talk is inspire all of you to be innovators. So I got asked by a reporter right before I came out a really difficult question, which we were talking about innovation. I was telling him, you can't read it and you can't build it, and you've got all these books you can read and processes. Here's how to innovate and all that. And if it were that easy, I wouldn't be talking to you and all of you would be innovating. You can't make it a process. You can't teach it. It's experiential. But he said, well, so only certain people can be innovators. No, everyone can be innovators only at certain things. So each one of you has experience, has knowledge, has a particular skill set or whatever that you know far better than me. And you can apply that and do something very, very innovative in some area. And it may not be the area you work in. It could be something you do at home or hobby or so on and so forth. But all of you can be innovators. Okay? And so that disbelief becomes your first objection. Because if I would have went to my business partners and told them, so here's the deal. Remember that skateboard we did? Check this thing out. It reads your brain waves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook it up and you can think where you go. Skateboard's going to take you there. They would have looked at me and said, don't waste your time. Because I have two really great partners who are very supportive in what I do. But they're also very realistic and very pragmatic. The moment I hear, don't waste your time, or that couldn't be done, or it won't work, or it can't work that way, that's where I get excited. That's where I really find my drive. Not because I want to go and have a big ego and disprove somebody and say, like, see, you said it couldn't be done, I did it. But because that tells me, from a marketing perspective, that I have just set the hook. I've got the perfect marketing trajectory, which is, can't be done, right? boom, it's done. And suspend disbelief, and you win people over in huge, huge, huge amounts. So with this skateboard, we're out there in Venice Beach. He doesn't believe it works. And they had these other 7 devices, and they film them all. We're waiting around. If you ever film TV, you wait. If you ever do a movie, you wait even longer. That's what we learned in the last year as we did a bunch of these. And so he calls us up, and it's kind of getting late, and he's like, all right, let's do this one anyway. And so you saw basically exactly what happened. That was, not edited hardly at all. And he thought, and it just went a little bit, like an inch. And he got really excited because he's connecting now. I'm thinking about going, and this thing just moved under my feet. And he got really, really excited. And so, too excited. Like, the part they edited was the next 5 minutes of him standing there. He was just looking at it and walking around it like it was sorcery or something. And maybe to an extent it was. But that moment, that last part of that video, that's the payoff for innovation. And if you're thinking about building a product and marketing a product, that's the same effect you want. You want everybody to look at your iPhone or whatever it is and say, my goodness, have you seen this? Because when they do, they share that innovation with everybody. So, let's dial it in. What about the maker movement? What about, innovating right now? Innovation is not just a software business, okay? It's a hardware business. In the taxi on the way over here, we were talking about this. And we were talking about, we compared Amsterdam and the Netherlands in a way to Apple in 1994 when John Scully was running it, where they were working on all this advanced stuff and they shipped it off somewhere else and somebody else took it and made a lot of money with it and did it, and then they saw it and they're like, that's great, we should have done TiVo. And I worked on the set-top box team, years earlier. The problem with the situation we're in right now globally is that the U.S. government wants to run the elections on, guess what? Manufacturing moved overseas. I'm going to make more jobs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We're transitioning past all of that. All of you are innovators. So now all of you need to be makers. All of you have that idea. It doesn't require that much software. You can find somebody probably sitting in the room who can help you with it. You can spend a little bit of time and money, not very much. If you can't afford a 3D printer, you can rent one. If you can't afford to write software, you can find a student. Most students in the U.S. can't afford to eat. When we started the company, I would have worked very cheaply as well. You can find all the resources you need. So how do you become a maker? How does that affect you? How does it affect your community? How does it affect your country? How does it affect the world? These are the things that are very exciting. This is what I'd like to focus the questions on. But again, I will open questions to anything. So with that, who would like to be first? Which is always nobody. But I was told that Dutch people, very proactive, asking questions. I was told to watch out for a little bit of ego. I have to be careful. So this guy wants to go first. You can now ask any random question. Don't ask him? Oh, wow. Nobody wants to hear a question from you, sir. We'll go back to the audience. It's different. So seriously. It would never work? Okay, excellent.